So this is a sequel to that game, right? The
I,
video game.
I guess it's literally them making they're making Mansions of Madness into a video game, but they changed the name because Mansions of Madness I didn't even know was a spinoff of Arkham Horror.
Hmm.
We should get into the episode and talk about it because I'm
Yeah.
super into all of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should talk more about your white lineage and we'll talk about H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, we'll talk about why he would have been super cool with me. Well, no, I guess
And
not.
all of us.
Wow.
He would have been cool with me up to a couple years ago.
What's your cat's name?
I see you. You even got a white cat. Good boy.
How dare you not name your cat after a slur like mine?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, with that note,
Okay.
take it away, Matt.
Well,
Take it away.
Before I
Stop
start,
it,
I was gonna
stop her.
ask, have you guys ever had to like explain fecal transplants before? Like I've had to a lot for some reason.
What?
Oh, I was
Today-
like,
today was
no,
one of
but
those
weirdly
days.
today we were talking about sucking poop up a butt.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
That's
was
how Mario do.
makes
Apparently
sense
you-
though. Cycle of
there's,
life.
there's a pill from it, and I just don't want to know what the burps are like. Anyway, welcome to 3 hours
Oh,
later.
God.
I'm Matt, joined with Alex
Hello.
and Hannah,
Hey, you son of a bitch.
and we got stuff to talk about. We did things. We did things together. We did communal things.
It was really
in person.
nice.
In
It was
person.
almost like a challenge.
It was
The
almost
challenge
like a
was just us getting in a room.
We almost have like 2 challenges to talk about basically because we did it. We did something. We did something for
We-
sure
we
for
did
3
a-
hours
we
or
did-
more.
2 nerdy things.
Like I think we did something for 3 hours twice. We
Yeah.
played the Mansions of Madness, the board game. Do we
Was
want
not
to talk about it?
expecting was not expecting how fun that was going to be because I saw you bring that in and I was like, cool, bunch of board games because we've played board games together, but this took like the majority of our time when we were hanging
Yeah,
out.
I'm glad we started early too.
Well,
Yes.
it's funny. You could. There was a definite. So we all got together at my house, started playing this game. You had been raving about it, and it doesn't take much to get me into something like
The mad
Crafty, and-
ravings of the podcast.
And it's funny too because like we'll get into what the game does, but the game there's a million scenarios, and they'll tell you how long it takes on average. I didn't know till the next day when I looked at that scenario. It's like supposed to be 2 hours.
Yeah, that was like 3 hours at most.
And I was thinking about it. You can literally trace all of us at different degrees of not sober to getting sober by the end of that game.
Yep.
God, we should
Because like
recorded
when
it.
it started, it was like herding cats, getting everyone on the same page,
Yeah.
and like everybody wanted to play, but nobody wanted to play.
Yeah.
And then by like an hour and a half into the game, once like everything we had been drinking and whatever else left the system or started to leave the system, all of a sudden we just all of us, including like a couple of my friends that are not game players, like the dirtiest I got them into board games was we play Secret Hitler sometimes and we hang out. And that's good. I mean, that's a game anybody can jump into. This was like, I now know I can get another group of my friends to play Dungeons and Dragons without much work because they played this game and they freaking loved it.
It's a stepping stone.
It
It
really,
really
is.
is.
And yeah, it's like literally, yeah, we were all like just really zoning in on what was going on because the game is afoot, we're a group trying to solve a mystery, and it kind of felt that way. And there's stakes going on later on. And yeah, first, we're like, just we blasted that lizard man or whatever, and then things got real.
It did. It's so when you pull out this box, it's a big
It's
box.
intimidating.
Chunky boy.
It's a chunky boy. And you're pulling out coins. You're
And
pulling
that
out
box feels
cards,
too small. It feels too small because there's so much shit.
and it's almost borderline intimidating because you start to you have to know you get different cards and different health and different, there's so many different things that happen. But then when you get into it, I know right away I could start rolling with this very easily.
It's the
It's-
box compared to my head, and I got a big ass head.
Yeah,
You got a big ass head.
and it's not a cheap game because
Heavy.
spoilers. I liked it enough that I literally went and bought it the very next morning and played it again the next day with my roommate, and my brother, and had a freaking blast.
Did you do
But it's
the
like
same,
$100 game. Yeah,
scenario?
same exact
Yeah.
one because we were trying to
Good. So you see how
get the two of them
how-
to kind of understand
How
the
did you
game works.
do? Did
well, yeah,
you?
but you got to see
we
how it works.
Skin of our teeth did it.
You get to see how it works when playing the same scenario, but it's still kind of different, but it has the same, story beats.
Yeah, like the house was the same. Sorry, there's hair in my mouth. There we go. So to break down what the game is, it's basically, and I don't mean this as a pejorative, but it's basically like beginner's D&D kind of, because you get a character and it's essentially a D&D character that's been pre-rolled for you. It's got some flavor text on the back to tell you like the background of the character. So if you do want to play it like a role-playing game, you can get into character. It's got miniatures. It's got a procedurally generated board that's made up of all these tiles that come in the box. It's got, I didn't count how many miniatures are in that box, but it feels like 50 plus.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's a shitload. And the way the game works is you start up, it's an app enabled game. So you have to have some sort of
don't forget
tablet
the
or
app.
phone
That
in
is
the
really
area.
impressive.
The app is kind of like the de facto dungeon master that tells you like, okay, you're going to set this down here. Here's the mystery items in the room. Here's this. And it doesn't reveal anything to you. So like if you don't have a separate person, like we lucked out that Stacy was able to kind of control all of us and really act as the DM. But even if we didn't have that, like the next day, I didn't have that luxury. It doesn't reveal anything to the people playing the game until you tell it to reveal stuff to you.
Yeah. So
but it keeps track of like bad guy health and everything.
Yeah. There's this big stack of different, there's two shapes of tiles, basically a long one and a square one. And then, the app will tell you like, okay, look for this tile and put it on the board. And then this is what's in this room that is now revealed to you. And so you're building it as you go, which I really like. Cause there's like a whole like fog of war type thing going on when we're trying to reveal the next part of the area.
Well, and not to spoil a lot of what can happen in that game, but like what I truly didn't know this was going to happen. We sucked really bad initially. We were having trouble understanding that like we just need to investigate. Like you play as a team of people that are investigating. You're solving a mystery. And we dicked around way too long in the beginning. We probably wasted 10 turns.
Yeah. Who was that?
Huh?
Who was that?
That was all of us. That was all of us. To be fair, though, I did try to start us off by running in and punching something. So
and then like I hurt my hand on a drawer
and stepped on a
Min
nail.
is not a strong lady. We learned. But like what I was not expecting is we started going is how quickly and how hard the stakes get raised in the game.
Yeah.
Because when you start, it doesn't, like, what I loved was it doesn't fuck around and like pretend this is a world that stuff doesn't exist in. It doesn't go like spooky, how crazy. They're like, dude, you showed up at this house, this stuff's gonna happen. Know that there are otherworldly nightmares, and that's what you're here to investigate or stop or whatever the scenario is. And literally moment one, it went from this thing where I was like, okay, there's going to be a cat in the room. It's going to be a jump scare moment. No, it's a flying snake beast from hell that is just on a rampage and that could kill any one of us if we just have bad rolls or if we just aren't paying attention. Like you could fail on creature one that spawns right away. And just every time all the players finish a turn, the game gets to take a turn. And the game is a son of a bitch.
God, the game is so tough. It is.
Like there was one
scary.
turn that it was just literally like Alex's character's skin started to melt off. And he had to roll like a saving throw. And the saving throw wasn't to stop his skin from melting off. It was just for him to like man up and be cool with it. I was like, oh, you still take damage, but at least you can like, you're okay.
No, those 20 minutes, it was beating the shit out of me. Like
that was my favorite part. Once you go to the bathroom real quick, and then I come out, and you guys are like, Alex's skin's melting off.
That was after something out of nowhere. Like my body started just like being all distorted, and it broke my arm, and then my skin started melting. Yeah, that was a good 20 minutes of it.
Bad day for York.
Bad day for the gravedigger.
As you're playing it, like things are happening to your things are happening as you go through the game controls. None of it is to help you. Not one thing is ever like, oh, you caught a break. It's always like, I don't know, man, it's either bad or real bad.
Well, sometimes like because I had all the evidence things, so that was helping. Like I just happened to find most of the places that just had like items and evidences, and some people found weapons; those were helpful. Some it's not always bad. Like you will find a clue, which I think is really what you're looking for to kind of push the story.
Even when that happens, there's always the chance that like. Not always, but it seems in my experience, there's a lot of times the chance that it could have been better. Like you'll find something, but you could have found more. Or like in one point, the next day when I played, there was a room and there was a ticking box that was electrified. And I had to like the same way when we were trying to finish that portal, you have to keep dumping skill checks into it. I'm dumping skill checks in and I didn't hit it fast enough. And because I went one extra turn, it took away my ability. Like I wasted 2 turns trying to open this box. And on the 3rd turn, it was like, you lost the opportunity. The box, the timer has ended. The box is ticked over. It fried it. You can't get anything out of it. And it turned all the lights off in this half of the house.
No, not darkness. But yeah, that's the other part. Because you mentioned that there's the app, which is, again, one of the most interesting part of the game that I think. Because we will not only does it tell us what to do like a DM, or we had Stacey reading off as a DM, but there are full-on puzzles that you require you to use the app to solve. Like there's like that bus game where you got to move these blocks and get one block to the other side, and it's actual like interactive outside of the physical board game. There's another game going on.
Yeah, it's bananas how good this game, and there's expansions for it, and plus there's like 20 something scenarios just in the box to begin with.
Yeah,
like I really want to play again. Like seriously, we need to record it next time.
God, that would be such a nightmare to set that camera up. But I'd be 100% ready to do that. Or try.
Right, and that's the other thing too is it's 1 to like 5 players, so like you could totally just solo the game. I've seen people that like do board game reviews, and one of them is just like, I was so into this game, I had to just keep playing when no one else was around.
Yeah, I've sorry, I've almost played it by myself a couple times this week, but I'm trying to be responsible and do other things. But every day it's just been on the table. I'm looking at it going like, man, I really just want to just try that next scenario out, see what happens.
What's old Agatha Crane up to tonight?
Oh, the weird thing is that like apparently so you got the 2nd edition. You explained to me why that was important. So I got the 2nd edition, but there's even different editions of those editions. Because like mine had very different miniatures than yours had.
Yeah.
Like very different. Like the same characters, but the miniatures are super different, and their bases, like all of yours are the kind that peg into the bases.
Yeah.
The snakes, the star spawns, like none of those clip into the base. It literally is like, you need to glue these.
Oh wow.
No
like
way.
That's one of the instructions. It's like step 1, glue this shits down. And I'm like, no, I ain't gonna do that right now, but okay.
They look more detailed too.
Yeah, yours are more detailed, but yeah, mine all had the pegs on them.
Heavy as hell.
Don't you need to glue them? They're just heavy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's actually what we did.
I'm mad though. One of my zombie dudes has like a really gimpy leg, and it doesn't fit in the peg. Like it's too narrow.
Oh, the thing I was gonna say earlier. So I had to explain like how the game builds to explain what blew my mind as we finished it. In addition to building the board while you play, it can get destroyed while you play. Because we hit a point where we were, spoilers for our game, we did not succeed. There was
so
a portal
close,
that was
we did. I was surprised,
we were like one turn away.
Yeah, I think so.
But we hit a point where this portal, the whole point of point of the game was we were trying to close this portal down, save our world. And we kept failing at it. We took too long to get there.
Well, what happened was another game mechanic, because
we all went crazy.
We all went insane, and that's a game
Not
mechanic.
Not me. I was the only one.
You took a lot of physical damage. We all took the brain damage.
Yeah.
But my character was the priest, and he had all the items, and so I did the first turn to activating the portal, whatever. So I was able to pump in all my points right then. But then the next turn, my character goes insane, and I literally just leave and just book it the opposite way. And so like we're losing a turn because I wasn't there.
Yeah, because that's another thing.
And then another character was out there too, so that could have been there was 2 turns that we didn't get because we had to leave that room.
So yeah, because you have two health pools. One of them is your physical health, and like once that's depleted, you actually take permanent damage that in some way impacts you, and it's that you now your movement is terrible. It sucks. But then there's also psychological damage you can take, and that's where you go crazy. And the super fun part with that is then you draw a random card, because up to that point, this is a completely cooperative game. We are all one team, one dream. We are working together. The moment somebody goes crazy, they draw a card that tells them a new twist on their character. It's totally random, and they have to follow it. And there's a lot of those cards where it now becomes your win conditions are as such, and it is nothing that will help the team.
And you can't tell the other players.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it could totally be nothing, or it could be like one player, was it David? Like he couldn't talk to the rest for the rest of the game.
I got that one the next day. I was the one person in the group that went crazy.
Are you
and and I just had to sit there and I'm like, this is very awkward. I cannot talk. And then Michaela, after a couple minutes, was like, "Oh, you can't talk anymore." And I was just like, "Oh."
And then I think Victor got one where he had to like start fires, but he had like no way to start fires, so he just like ran out of the room.
Yeah, he was just trying to figure out how to start a fire.
And then mine was I had to be in a square with exactly one other player and have a bladed weapon. And if my turn came the next turn, I would have won and everyone else would have lost.
Yeah, because if one of us dies, we all lose.
And well, even like the win conditions can change in a way that only one player will win. Because yeah, like it says the game is over, you win, everyone else is losers. Because I did my own like crazy ritual or something.
Yeah, it was so close. I think I rolled the last two rolls. I think I had like I had 4 total, and I forget how many more like magnifying glasses I needed to solve that puzzle. And we were so close. I think that's just.
Well, the last one we didn't even know because it's that thing where you had to punch in how many you rolled, and then it's just like
just keeps going.
Yeah, eventually you say, okay, that's enough. Now you guys got it.
What it said something like, I forget what it said, but we put in quite a bit and still wasn't enough. Imagine if it was like one off.
Yeah, and so the game has basically these D8s, these dice, 8-sided dice that it comes with, and that's kind of the rolling system, which I really like. Like it, there's every turn was just like, oh god, every roll. And there's either a success, a fail, or a clue symbol. And a clue symbol can be changed to a success depending on like what the player has. So like, I don't know, there's just so many like the rolls were the funnest part, I think, just because it was so exciting each time someone had to do something.
Oh, every roll mattered. There was not a single roll in that game that was just like do you successfully open the door? Like even that roll, like where it's like I had to roll to open up a open up a drawer. You can't fail at it, but your success can be as simple as you break the drawer open. Now you take damage because you hurt yourself on it, which I did, and you don't really get anything up to like you open the drawer and the fucking secret that solves everything is in it. That part was just so crazy, and I can attest that like the next day I played the exact same scenario, and the layout of the house was exactly the same, but what happened and how quickly things happened and where it happened was very different. Just because the game is keeping track of just enough stuff. And
there was still a room we didn't even get to.
Yeah, that was the room that I found that electric box in, which would have caused so many more problems.
More than the ghosts and Cthulhu's chasing us.
Oh yeah, like
because then it would have been darkness across the entire house.
Oh.
Yeah, someone broke an urn. Someone broke an urn at some point, and like three or 4 turns later, like a ghost popped up. It's just like that only because you broke the urn. Because we played one time,
never would have shown up.
Yeah, we played one time without breaking the urn. Doesn't show up.
Yeah,
so fun, so much fun.
Such a good game. There's expansions for it. The game itself it retails for $99. The expansions all hover around the $50 to $60 range. I know that's like an expensive ask of somebody to have like $100 minimum buy-in. I promise it's worth it. Even if it's like a group of friends go in and like all chip in and buy it. It's all I can think is like if you were to get a group of people together to play Dungeons and Dragons, at minimum you're out $100 for the books.
Yeah,
like I know they always say you don't need all the books, but you need at least a DM guide, a monster manual, and a player's handbook. And that's if you guys share them.
Yeah. And then
So
not to shill for Amazon, you can't. I bought it from there. That's probably why our figures are so much different.
yeah,
I got it for
I
it was
was
$77 on there.
I was so impatient. I was happy to pay an additional $20 to
Yeah,
Barnes
no,
and
I
Noble to just go
have it
get that shit
now.
that morning. I happened to look. I was like, oh, Barnes and Noble sell, because I called like the local game stores first. I want to be a good person
Right.
and help
Yeah.
out like independent businesses. You know, doing the right thing.
Mom and pop
And
shop,
all of
Barnes
them-
and Noble.
They're all out of them.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. So then I was like, I guess I can try Barnes and Noble. They carry board games, and they're like, we got it in stock. We'll do curbside pickup. What's up?
Yeah, the other game I was talking about, the only place I could find it was Barnes and Noble. So it's kind of crazy that they're
Yeah.
the place to go to.
It's funny.
But yeah, it's I think it's such an incredible game because it's both a board game nerd's dream complex game, but also so accessible. Like, I think we couldn't have had a better focus group in my house that night, because we had like you, me, and Stacy, Matt, who I think have played a ton of board games, including really, really complex ones. You two definitely more than me, but like I can handle my shit there. Alex, who's like now become very nerd adjacent, plays D&D fairly regularly, has
Fucking
played
nerd.
these games before, but it's still like, you know, I don't think this is something you've been doing for 20 years.
Hmm.
And then we had my two other friends that were here that are like, they've never played anything like this. Like they've never touched anything like this. They've never played D&D. I think the closest we're getting on either of them is they played like Yu-Gi-Oh when they were kids, or they played Pokemon, but like that's a hell of a thing to take a game this complex and within a half hour, two people that are absolutely in no way, shape, or form remotely sober are just 100% in it, understand the rules, no one asks questions, are following along, get the story. Like it was so impressive just to as somebody who just appreciates good board game design, to just look at that and go like, holy shit, you guys made such a good game here.
Yeah, I would say like the rules seemed daunting like the first time I got them, but so
Yeah.
that's why I didn't even want to explain it until we jumped in the game. But it's super easy. Like I don't know, I had to watch like a YouTube video, and I think that made
Well,
it easier for me. But
Even their rule book, they do such a good job of it's just a glossary. Like half that rule book is just like giant, like not tiny, hard to look up. Just like, what's the term you see? Do you not know what it is? Look it up. Here's how you solve it. The worst thing I can definitely say about the game is there is one specific kind of puzzle that I just think it's a shitty puzzle. I don't think it's like a case of like, oh, it's too hard for us. Like, not for nothing, we're pretty goddamn good puzzle solvers here. Like, we're all, you know, we've been around a few times. We've played video games. We understand how slide puzzles work and how memorization puzzles work. That last puzzle is just a shitty puzzle.
No, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
But
was-
like, if
I got
one,
it.
if that's
though.
the worst
I
thing I
got
can
it.
say.
I was
you
so
got it.
happy.
Definitely
That was a big moment too. Like the entire room like cheered because we were just stressing out trying to get this puzzle. That's probably the reason why we lost, to be honest, because we took so much damn
We
time on
took
that
a
puzzle
lot of
earlier.
turns on it.
Yeah.
but the same thing happened the next day when like with my brother, my roommate, we're like, that puzzle just brings everything to like it just halts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the sliding puzzle, it may take you more than one turn to solve, but like you can see how you solve it.
Mhm.
Anybody can look at that when within two moves, you're like, oh, I get this puzzle. Every other puzzle I've seen in the game totally makes sense. That one rune puzzle is just a bad puzzle.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that was
I
the
think
only
it's called,
downside
like,
I had.
The style of puzzle is called like Mastermind or something. Like so there's like 5 symbols and we got to try to figure out the combination of them.
But
And
it's the problem I had with it was that it's the fact that it's like it's withholding so much information because it tells you if you have have them in the right spaces, but not which ones are in the right spaces, but also you have to match color and shape.
yeah.
And it also you can reuse the same tiles because some might there's just too many variables in a puzzle that's supposed to be like, let's play the game.
Yeah. I wish there's
And
a way
then,
you can
like-
like turn off certain puzzles or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or like
switch
even
it.
like, hey, what do you want the puzzle difficulty to be in this scenario? Like,
Yeah.
hey, let's dial this one back. 5 digits is a little
Yeah,
much.
I've
Let's
been
make
drinking,
it 3.
put it on Dum Dum.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it should be like, hey, we're having a fun party. Maybe there's some kids playing the game that aren't old enough to understand this puzzle. Like, give us an option to have it like a simpler version. But like even that, they could do that. That could be something that like they could just put out an update
Just an
and
app
goes
update.
like,
yeah.
oh yeah. Because like that puzzle doesn't exist in real life. That puzzle is not a physical part in the box. Like that
Yeah.
puzzle is just the app telling you to do this.
I was real worried because I midway through the game I remembered what the puzzle was, and I was like, man, I really hope it like switched or something, but it didn't.
Same thing the next day. I was like, man, I hope it's a different one. Nope, same puzzle. But I mean, again, if that's the worst thing I can say about this game, a puzzle that we still solved that was still doable. It's just everything up to that point. It feels so like every turn feels so important. Every action, like you start hitting a point where you're like, okay, so this turn I'm gonna have to like try to kill this dude. You need to be looking this up. Like we're trying to not separate, but still trying to do separate things. And then it just kind of blew. And I mean, maybe other scenarios are different. I don't know yet. But like it just blew that it all came down to like this wet fart of an end where it's like, okay, now we're all just going to stop moving. We're going to be on the same square. And we're just going to pass this iPad around and get really frustrated with this puzzle for 25 minutes.
Yeah, the pacing stopped completely.
And that was like, that was the only bummer, was like it just fucks with the flow of the game, which up to that point had been basically perfect. Like it's the flow and the just the like call and response of like, you take a turn, they take a turn, you take a turn, they take a turn, something happens. Like you never have, you don't have boring turns. If you do have an uneventful Arkham turn, or Mythos phase, you're so happy.
Yeah.
Like the elation when it'd be like, it's a Mythos turn. You're like, oh God. It's like, I couldn't do anything.
Wind.
And you're like, yes. Or even it's like, you see a star spawn appear and you're like, well, a Cthulhu's here. And you're like, it's across the house.
Yeah, we got
Fuck
time.
that
We
thing.
got time.
Now that's a living embodiment of a timer. Let's go.
Yeah, lots of just the high moments were what makes it for me. Like, like you're saying, like every action is pretty important, but like there's just some ones like when Alex saw that puzzle where the room just kind of like
yeah,
and then like
that was like sports shit.
Yeah, and then like our almost like there's like a resource management for each of our turns, because you can only do like 2 things in a turn. And what am I going to do? I can move, I can check this out, or at the end where we were like trying to plot to like, okay, who has the highest like stat in this, because me and Hannah are gonna push you out so then you can still have your turn and I'll just sacrifice my turn.
Yeah, it's worth it to me to not take my turn to allow you to take your full turn, because you moving is a waste of your time.
Yeah.
Or
and then we all went crazy and nothing happened.
Yeah. Or and then stuff too, like to help each other. Like I was giving people focus, and Hannah, you could make people re-roll.
Make people re-roll a failure or any die.
I forget what you got a clue every time a monster died.
Yeah, so it's like, helpful to remember that as you're playing.
That's the other thing too. Like I totally forget every time about the individual stat abilities of each character. Yeah, just
such
a cool game.
Such a good game. Like this is basically an impromptu challenge, and it could not have been. God, it was so good. It was needed. It was the game we needed at the time we needed.
Not the one we deserved.
I cannot recommend enough to everybody. Like find this game, play the game. If you have friends that have it, they've been begging you to play it. Give in, play it. It's so good.
And the next time I want us to check out the it's in the same universe. It's Fantasy Flight game, the Arkham living card game, because they're going to do like whatever reprint or something next month. So I want to get that collection, and then we can play that. And it's similar, but it's just we each have our own deck of cards as a different character, and then we're fighting against a bad guy deck together.
Oh, cool!
I love co-op board games. That's kind of a new concept to me. Like I know they've been around for a while, but I know just like we're all together. I like that.
Yeah, the only one I'd ever really played was Pandemic, which is fun. Not now, but it was in the before times.
Yeah, it's the actual Jumanji.
Yeah, but even that game, like even though we're all working together, every other cooperative game I've ever played, it does still build some sort of antagonism, because like if somebody doesn't play right, it really makes the game hard and not fun in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
Versus in this, somebody not playing the game quote unquote right made it more fun.
Yeah,
like the wheels coming off is what made it fun.
It's the madness.
Yeah, it was just good ass game.
I'm glad you guys liked it. Like I get worried when I get into something, and then it's like when you find a YouTube video and then you're like, check out this YouTube video, I'm gonna watch it, and then they're like uninterested.
Yeah,
I was worried that was gonna happen with this game.
When you get the person looks up and they're like 5 minutes of this, and you're like, oh
man,
person too. Just Good ass game. Cannot recommend enough.
We also played What the Dub for a little bit. I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that was kind of a fun game too.
Yeah,
I see you played it all the time. I just never knew what it was about.
My only issue with that game is that it shouldn't be its own game. It should be inside of a Jackbox party
Jackbox,
pack.
yeah.
It's bizarre that it's not.
I
I mean,
think
it's made by a totally different company.
okay. I feel like one of the
Um,
Jackbox has something like that too.
Yeah, Jackbox is. I would not be surprised if Jackbox made like a cleaner, better playing version of it at some point. But it's a super cheap game. I want to say it was like $10. We got $10 of fun out of it just in that
Yeah.
one time we played it. But it like shows old public domain video clips, and it'll like give you some. It'll start playing the clip. The actor speaks their line, and then when it goes to the next actor's line, it just drops the audio, and you have to go into your phone and type in what you want that actor to say, and then it uses a really beautifully terrible vocalizer to do text to speech.
Yeah, it's the
and
TikTok
it
lady.
is absolutely hilarious.
And you can make sound
Um,
effects.
Yeah, you can add sound
Yeah.
effects. But I love the fact that like just like every other game similar to that, it starts off normal and then it just gets filthier and filthier and filthier. Once you realize that that robot voice will say whatever you tell
Whatever
it to say.
you say.
But yeah, the scoring in it is bizarre. Like it reminds me so much of I just think of it Whose Line Is It Anyway when I play it, because it just feels like the points don't matter.
Yeah.
Because like somehow like you can get thousands of points on a turn.
Because me and
you can
Alex
get
won.
No points.
We did.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
won
that's
the
why I
first
was like,
round.
"Ugh,
I won the
enough of that."
second. It's kind of reminds me of Cards Against Humanity, because you're given the start of that sentence or start of that
Yeah.
Yeah.
scene, and then you finish it with something hilarious. And since you get to type it in, it could be whatever. Like I think I
Yeah.
won a round just by going, bruh.
Yeah.
And it was
you
just
did.
so like short, and everybody tried to do sentences, and mine was
Well, because that's even
It-
one of the
it's-
funny things that happens too is like because like that guy definitely said a lot of stuff. It was a
Yeah.
longer scene, and it was just like blah 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 blah. And they asked for the response, and just goes bruh,
bruh.
and the guy's just mouth is moving for a
Keep
while,
going.
nothing's happening, and you're like,
I think
"Oh,
that's what I
really
think that's
funny."
kind of why you won though. Like it added to the comedy of it was that
Yeah.
that person definitely was saying much more than bruh.
Well, and that's what you have to do. Like that game, just like a Cards Against Humanity or something similar, is it's about learning how to play to the room. Like
Yeah,
you
you
have to
gotta
know the
know the
people you're
audience.
playing with. Like and that's why I think it gets more filthy every turn, because everyone starts the game going like, "Well, I'm not going to say dick a million times," and then after the first person says dick and everyone giggles, you're like, "Well, I can say dick too."
That's what I learned when I did
Oh.
like a deep Simpsons quote and nobody got it. I was like, okay, I can't do those.
Oh no, I got it.
Oh,
You didn't vote for it.
That makes it
Yeah.
worse if we got it and didn't vote for
Yeah.
it.
It was the funniest thing. I mean, anyone ever said that night. I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember. I know you said it was a Simpsons reference, but like I can't remember what that sentence was. But
Yeah,
good
it was a fun
times.
game.
God, it was fun.
And you have an audience too, like just people that want to participate but
playing.
not really play. Like Corey was like probably 10 miles away and he was still playing.
No, he was
I know.
working,
Yeah.
definitely playing.
Corey who?
Yeah, he never showed up. Corey Hart, the dirt BMX dirt bike rider man. I
I
don't
know
know.
Hannah's taking brain damage.
I think I just broke. I just got an alert that they're putting out droids themed Star Wars vintage figures, and it broke me, and I need to
Oh.
buy them all.
You sent us an article before we're done with Mentions of Madness.
Oh yeah, whole thing I want to talk about. Yeah, so I mentioned when we were playing it, I was like, this needs to be a video game. Like, I don't understand how somebody hasn't made a video game of this, because like in a world where Pandemic gets a video game,
Right.
like this should get one. And it turned out, I found out minutes before we started recording this that apparently there's a video game being made about this. It was supposed to come out in 2021. Obviously, we've had a really weird year. This was published in October of 2020, so they knew what was going on then. But I guess they changed the name of it. It was originally called Mansions of Madness Mother's Embrace, but Mansions of Madness is a spin-off of Arkham Horror. And so they're just going to own that title and call it Arkham Horror Mother's Embrace, but it's Mansions of Madness, the video game. And it's coming out at some point.
Nice.
Yeah, very excited about
Soon-ish. You know, we're gonna
Also-
play that.
Only going to be $20.
No way.
So that is a wildly low price. I mean, I
Okay.
knew it would be $100, but $20
Oh, hey,
is so expensive.
it's already out. You can't see my phone, but it's on
Oh,
Steam.
is it out? Oh,
Yeah.
well, it's on Steam. I don't care about Steam. That's where my computer's where I play PowerPoint.
Came out in March.
Oh, okay. So it's not that long ago.
Is it on Xbox yet?
Yeah.
It said it was going there.
Right. That's what I'm wondering. Xbox. And live research.
It is.
It is.
Well,
It's in the
what the
Microsoft Store, at least.
fudge is happening now?
All right,
Okay, let's
podcast
check it
over.
out.
We're gonna go play.
Okay, guys. Bye.